Welcome to Riding Tips I Wish I Knew Sooner. Tip number 1. I always start off on a loose rein in the trot just because Boo and many other horses cough when they first start because it's so hard to be a little pony and be cute. So her life is so hard. This helps them to stretch out their neck and relax, and that's what a hunter judge looks for. The goal in hunters is to make the horse look as pleasant to ride as possible. I still don't have a very tight rein, just enough so where I can pull back and ask her to stop, because one thing I was taught that's not true is the more rein you have, the more control you have, and that's definitely not true. A lot of horses get nervous when somebody has super tight reins, but Boo prefers softer hands, and so some horses prefer tighter reins, some horses prefer harder hands, but that's not how most horses are. Another tip that works for me is not wearing very grippy breeches, because whenever I wear full seat breeches, I kind of get launched over jumps. So I use the ones that only have grips on your knees, so then my butt can slip in the saddle so that I can sit down so I'm not getting launched like this. That everybody has struggled with in their riding career is lower leg. Lower leg is such a hard thing to do if you don't know how to do it correctly, so here's what I recommend. First off, you will put your weight in your heels, but lean your foot more towards your big toe rather than your pinky toe. If you don't know how to balance in your posting or your 2-point, then I recommend the double post, which I'm doing right now in the video. It really helps you find the balance in your posting or your 2-point or whatnot. Next thing I'm going to talk about that I know a lot of people know how to do is the sitting trot. I just was never taught the correct way, where you enhance your core and enhance your lower leg and you relax your thighs, and then let your hips move with the saddle and with the horse so then you don't bounce around. And keep your hands where they are. But to be honest, I don't think you should be doing anything more than a trot if you don't know how to keep your hands still. Next thing I'm going to talk about is your seat in the canter. Once you know how to balance in the canter, then you will figure out that it is really rocky horsey. I don't know if that's a word, but it is a word now. But pretend like your torso, aka your hips, pretend like it's a fishbowl. If you're too far forward, you'll spill it and kill your poor guppy. And if it's too far back, then you'll also kill him. And you want to keep your guppy alive. Next thing we're going to talk about is the half seat. The half seat is not a 2-point. It is not forwards, it is upwards. Like in the video, it is not forwards like a 2-point, it is upwards, more like a post. But anyways, you will put your hands kind of straight out, but still bent, near their neck, and relax your hands. And then your butt's just going to rise and fall softly into the saddle. The difference between a 2-point and a half seat is pretty simple. A 2-point, you're bending your hip angle and you are forwards, versus a half seat, which you are upwards and rising and falling. Next thing I'm going to talk about is your 2-point over smaller jumps. Over smaller jumps, you just put your hips not behind you, but in that direction, and then you just let the saddle come to you and let your butt sit in the saddle and finish the jump. And you can see that I don't get perfect striding every time, and always remember to give a release over the jump. The 2-point over bigger jumps is always more complicated because it always varies between horses on what is best, but the main way to 2-point over bigger jumps is you close your hip angle, give a release, stand up in your stirrups so then you get off the saddle. And just like with the smaller jumps, you always let the saddle come to you and let it finish the jump. And what I'm doing here is something I do after every single ride when I jump. I put cold water on one side for 30 seconds and then cold water on the other side for 30 seconds. And this is really good for their tendons because it's not good for their tendons to get hot. So, and especially in the summer when you're jumping and their legs get hot, it's really good to just cool down their tendons and make sure they're all good. And then here I am having her do her trick that I do after every ride. Let me know if you want a tutorial on how to teach your horse how to smile.